On screen, Golden Age Hollywood sold the world a dream of perfection. We saw devoted parents, ideal marriages, and smiling family photos frozen in time. But behind the frame, the truth looked nothing like the fantasy. Behind those flawless images are stories of hidden abuse, children renamed or concealed, and entire households engineered like sophisticated PR scripts. Hollywood doesn't just make movies, it manufactures human lives. The studios decided who people could love and what they were forced to stay silent about. But no secret stays buried forever. Today, we are opening the vault on the families Hollywood tried to hide for decades. From biological children rebranded as adopted, to legendary fathers who ruled with leather straps. If you're ready to see the cracks in the dream, hit like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, which of these legends did you grow up idolizing? Let's begin. Marilyn Monroe, the architecture of abandonment. Hollywood called Marilyn Monroe the most beloved woman of the 20th century, but the raw truth is, Marilyn was never truly loved as a child. Born Norma Jean Mortensen, she never knew her father and lost her mother, Gladys Baker, to severe mental illness by the age of 7. She was absorbed into a California foster care system that was cold, poorly supervised, and prone to abuse. She moved through more than 10 foster homes and orphanages. In that environment, children don't learn how to be loved. They learn how not to be abandoned. Her breathy voice and exaggerated innocence weren't style choices. They were survival mechanisms shaped by trauma. She wasn't addicted to love. She was terrified of being left alone. When she died alone in 1962, the press called it the tragedy of fame, but it was really the logical end of a psychological cycle that had never been treated. Bing Crosby, the belt behind the carol. For decades, Bing Crosby was the image of the ideal American father, singing White Christmas in warm, loving homes. But in 1983, his eldest son Gary published Going My Own Way, and that image shattered. Gary describes systematic physical abuse. Bing didn't strike in rage. He used leather straps and belts as a cold, deliberate form of discipline. He even weighed his children weekly. If they gained weight, punishment followed immediately. Gary's brothers, Dennis and Lindsay, confirmed the violence was the household's normal atmosphere. Tragically, Lindsay Crosby died by suicide in 1989, leaving behind writings about a childhood lived in fear. The public reaction? They branded Gary an ungrateful son to protect the image of America's dad. It exposes an uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the warmest public images are the very masks that hide violence. Loretta Young and Clark Gable, the PR rebrand. In classic Hollywood, few names carried as much moral weight as Loretta Young and Clark Gable. She was the symbol of Catholic purity. He was the king of Hollywood. But in 1935, a secret affair led to an out-of-wedlock pregnancy. In that era, this was a career death sentence. The solution wasn't protection, it was erasure. Loretta disappeared for months, gave birth in total secrecy, and placed her own daughter into an orphanage. Months later, Loretta adopted her own biological child, named her Judy Lewis, and announced it as a noble humanitarian act. Gable remained silent his entire life. He met Judy only once, when she was 15, in a tense meeting that was never spoken of again. Judy grew up sensing she didn't belong, only learning the truth in 1966 when Loretta finally confessed. In Hollywood, family isn't sacred, it's PR. We're halfway through the vault, and the secrets are getting darker. Which of these stories is the most unsettling so far? Let us know in the comments. Coming up, the Hollywood noir star whose career was ended by a secret involving her own stepson. Joan Crawford, the pathology of perfection. Joan Crawford was the embodiment of discipline and maternal virtue, until her daughter Christina published Mommie Dearest. This wasn't just a grievance, it was a detailed indictment of psychological terror. Christina described beatings without reason and being dragged from bed during drunken rages. The infamous wire hangers outburst wasn't about the hangers. It was about a pathological obsession with control. Joan didn't just play the perfect mother. She tried to force real life to obey a script, even if it required violence. Gloria Grahame, the line that couldn't be buried. Gloria Grahame was the magnetic femme fatale of film noir. But she carried a secret that even Hollywood's PR machine couldn't hide forever. In 1951, her husband, director Nicholas Ray, reportedly walked into their bedroom and found Gloria with his own son from a previous marriage, Tony Ray. Tony was still underage at the time. The studio spent tens of thousands of dollars to seal the records and suppress the story. But in 1960, Gloria and Tony married in secret. When the truth broke in 1962, Hollywood didn't protect her. They abandoned her. Contracts vanished, and she became a pariah. Hollywood doesn't punish behavior, it punishes getting caught. Rock Hudson, the engineered masculinity. In the 1950s, Rock Hudson was America's ideal man, tall, handsome, and the symbol of heterosexual romance. But Hudson was gay, a truth Hollywood considered career-ending. When a magazine threatened to expose him in 1955, his agent and Universal Pictures rushed to engineer a sham marriage with his own secretary, Phyllis Gates. It was a calculated performance. The press stayed silent not because they didn't know, but because they chose money over truth. It wasn't until 1985, when Hudson revealed he had AIDS, that the wall of illusion finally collapsed. One of cinema's greatest icons had to hide himself for decades just to survive. The sacrificial child. Judy Garland will always be Dorothy, searching for a place over the rainbow where everything is safe. But Judy never had that place. Her mother, Ethel Gum, treated her daughters as instruments of performance. At MGM, the studio controlled everything: her weight, her sleep, her appearance. She was given amphetamines to keep working, and sleeping pills to knock her out at night. It was a chemical cycle that destroyed a child's body. No one asked if she was exhausted, they only asked if she could perform. Her death at 47 was the end point of a slow erosion that began in childhood. Rita Hayworth, the erased identity. Hollywood called Rita Hayworth the love goddess. But behind that image was Margarita Carmen Cancino, a girl who was never allowed to be herself. From age 12, her father Eduardo forced her to perform sensual dances in nightclubs to earn money for the family. She later confessed to ex-husband Orson Welles that she had been sexually abused by her father. When she entered Hollywood, the studio completed the erasure. They changed her name, dyed her hair, and even used electrolysis to raise her hairline so she would look less Latin. Men fell in love with her screen image, Gilda, but no one knew how to love the traumatized woman behind it. Charlie Chaplin, the genius and the boundaries. Charlie Chaplin is remembered as the comedy genius of the weak and the poor. But in his private life, he stood on the side of power. He was notorious for pursuing underage girls. In 1924, Chaplin, then 35, involved himself with 16-year-old Lita Gray. When she became pregnant, he faced criminal prosecution. The solution? A rushed, secret marriage in Mexico to bury the scandal. Lita later described him as emotionally cold and controlling. Hollywood preserved the legend because talent makes money, and morality doesn't. Marlon Brando, the generational curse. Marlon Brando was the ultimate symbol of cinematic power, but in real life, he was a father helpless in the face of his family's collapse. Brando had at least 11 children, and that large family turned into a chain of tragedies. In 1990, his eldest son Christian shot and killed the boyfriend of his half-sister, Cheyenne Brando. Cheyenne, carrying years of psychological trauma and media harassment, died by suicide in 1995 at only 25. Fame didn't save his children, and talent didn't heal inherited trauma. Brando proved that no legend is big enough to protect their family from collapse if the trauma is never treated. Hollywood sells family images, America's dads, perfect mothers, and moral couples. But behind that glossy coating, identities were rewritten and children were erased. Fame doesn't heal trauma, and money doesn't protect families. The most frightening part is that the system will always protect the image first, and the human being second. Which story disturbed you the most, and whose legend should we look behind next? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.